We are now live. Thanks y'all for coming to thanks y'all for coming to Codirect. Today is Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. Happy New Year. So I think that I'm going to start this month. So this month for our Ujima Wednesdays, we're going to be reflecting on the past year with our member team groups. So as you all know, every Wednesday we have a theme and a different workshop. So this month we thought that our workshops would reflect or be reflective of cooperative work. So we're giving time to our member teams to discuss successes, challenges, recommendations, and offerings to other teams, as well as processes and collective wins. And it's really just a time for us to kind of like reflect on what we've learned and what might work better in the future. So we're asking for 2 representatives from each member team group to join us at each Wednesday of the month to answer the following prompt. What were your wins? What were your challenges? And what were the lessons in your group? As well as if there's anything that you'd like to ask of the other teams, like any process related or team related asks or questions that you have. So each group will have about 22 minutes for a presentation of sorts, as well as a Q&A. This will break down to about 10 minutes for presentation and 12 minutes for Q&A. And that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. So again, the theme for this month is member team peer learning.
And Sierra, I just want to add to that really quickly. If you look at the wire that went out this morning, and you'll see it in upcoming emails, the Arts and Cultural Organizing team and the podcast team, because they're meeting tonight, and tonight is co-direct, we've slotted the Arts and Cultural Organizing team presentation to occur the same night as a business support team, which is the 4th week. And we've slotted the podcast team presentation to take place the same night as the investor outreach and anchor institution, which is the 3rd week. So next week is Time Bank and UNESCO, and Sierra has already sent out emails to both teams notifying them of the member team peer learning session. So hopefully you started to think about, if you're on those 2 teams, at least two people from the team who are willing to come and give a presentation on behalf of the team. And Sierra just put the breakdown into the chat.
Thank you, Nia. And so we're going to pause here for any questions, comments, concerns.
Cool, so everybody's ready? I think I see a representative from every member team right now, except for business support. And so I'm gonna take the silence to mean everybody is rearing to go. John?
I have to confess, Nia, I don't remember hearing of this and discussing it with my group, but I really am a little disoriented. I've had a roller coaster.
Understandable. And you probably haven't gotten an email from Sierra yet. So I think Sierra has just emailed the Time Bank and the UNESCO teams, because
no, I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Thank you,
but
John.
We've got a lot going on, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we want to do it. So just to give additional context, and this is in the email that went out to the Time Bank and UNESCO teams. Last year, we had a frame, because we have our 5th Wednesdays where we don't have a meeting because it doesn't happen so often. And so one of the things we thought we wanted to do, and this was just based on lots of feedback from different members and member teams by Aura, and our sense that this was also something that would be useful, was we thought we would kind of have all member team meetings. And this would be an opportunity for member teams to do exactly what we're talking about, to kind of say, this is what progress is looking like on our team. These are some methods, processes, systems, whatever we've come up with that we think has been pretty good for our team, or these are some challenges. This is what we've struggled with. And so this is kind of operating like that, just for some additional context. Yep. And so now we've said, well, when thinking about what our theme will be for the month, we're just coming back from holiday. We didn't want to try to scramble to try to put together a feasibility study topic for the month. And we said, why don't we, thank you, Claudia. And also over December, you had a chance to kind of fellowship with each other a little bit. And so we said, why don't we actually take that opportunity that we had been wanting to provide on a regular basis and actually just start off the year that way. So it's partially reflection, but the intent really is peer learning. So the intent really is for the teams to share with each other. And of course, we'll be here, so it'll also be useful feedback for us in addition to what we get from you all on a regular basis.
I think the last thing that I'll just add really quickly, Nia, is that we had talked also to Claudia's point about loving how this will deepen our connectivity, to de-silo the groups a little bit, right? Like if you can only come on, Wednesday nights, second Wednesday of the month, you really don't get a chance to interact necessarily with the other teams, especially given COVID. So we just wanted to provide a space similarly for like cross-pollination and to invite everybody in together to learn together and also just to chat. So we'll stop there. Again, if there are any like ideas, if anybody just wants to say, great, this is that time. So. Okay, and I know John has an announcement.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was like finishing chewing, so I was like, damn it. No, I love this because I think sometimes, I'm tuned into the arts and culture team and not necessarily everything else that's going on. And so if arts and culture isn't necessarily like the place for somebody that I'm like talking with or something like that, I love the idea of having more of a pulse on what the other groups are working on. So I can share that with people as well. And it'll help through other people that might be, or people I know that would be interested in joining and stuff. So thank you. I like this.
Thank you, Claudia. So I'm just going to invite Jom up to the stage as Jom has an announcement to make.
Thank you, Sierra. I just put it in the chat, folks. So the Anchor Institutions team has an open house. We're going to really try and assess kind of where we're coming from and what our goals are going forward. What are our strengths? What are our gifts? What are our opportunities for improvement? So anybody that's interested in that, it's a good time to jump in. We're trying to think through how do we attract and convince white people with money that they want to invest in this group. So yeah, advanced reparations.
Thank you, John. I'm wondering, could you send whatever kind of like the Zoom info would be to Sierra so that we can add it to Neon, just so people can also see that that's an event that's available to them?
It's not my strength, Nia, but Sierra can contact Nadav, Rachel, Siona, Simona, and
Cool. Thank you, John.
All right, that's all I got.
Cool. And I'm also going to invite, thank you, first of all, John, for that announcement. I know that James also has an announcement today.
Yes, I do. Hi y'all, this is James again. As you guys might have remembered, a couple of weeks back, we mentioned that we're going to be starting to plan our citywide assembly. So time is here. We are hard at work as a staff, sort of like developing a plan for us to sort of execute this work in partnership with you all. And I just want to sort of give you all, for this citywide assembly, we're going to be voting on our citywide investment plan, I believe. And so really would love to give you guys sort of a preview of sort of the key events that we'll be having for our citywide assembly. And yeah, and I'll sort of at the end, I'll share with you all how you guys can, the ways in which we would love for you guys to join in and help out with this. So I'm going to share my screen. Is that, do you think I can just go through the outline real fast? Cool. Where's my, oh, there it is. So, y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So we're still working on a theme.
James,
Yeah.
can you just like zoom in a little bit though? Because the print's a little small.
Okay. How do I do that?
Where it says 100%, yeah, maybe go to like, yeah, 125.
Is that better?
Yeah, maybe even 150, I think you can do. Yep, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we're still sort of imagining a theme for this effort. And so that will be discussed, we'll mention that later. But as of right now, these are its key events. So we're starting off with a social event. This is an event that you invite your friends, really something low key, something that folks can enter to and just relax. And this is going to happen on Valentine's Day. And so really a Sunday, so you can invite your boo, whoever. We're working with a local collective. We're hoping to work with a local collective, Black Cotton Club, that do a lot of really great just jam sessions here in Boston. And they also, one of the lead organizers is a member of Ujima, and so who's been active in arts and culture work. And so I'm really excited to sort of start really fresh and fun. The vibe is gonna be funky, soulful. So hopefully y'all can come through with your boo or whoever, you know. And then the next day we'll have an open house / open call process / mayor's event. So this is going to be a big day. So just to give you guys some sense of the open house, it's just going to be a space for folks to introduce the staff to the world, to introduce us to the organization, to the community in some ways, because a lot of us are new. So that is sort of the open house piece. And then the open call process, as you guys might have seen at other assemblies, is just a place in which we sort of ask for suggestions. We ask people for businesses they love, businesses they want, and we usually add this to our businesses we love list, right? And so that's going to be sort of an open call process. Will hopefully happen, I guess, in the afternoon. And in addition to that, we're hoping to have a mayor's event. In the last year, we had a mayor's event. We invited a number of mayors from different cities who had been incorporating solidarity economy practices into their like citywide sort of policies. And we want to do a similar event. And so we're working with Moore and a bunch of other folks to sort of reimagine that event, and we're hoping that be a key event for this assembly. So hopefully y'all can come to that. So just moving forward, our needs process, we're going to be reviewing our current needs. So that's going to be happening on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we'll have a regular meeting, kind of. The difference is that our member team meetings are going to be meeting. We figured with so many things happening, we wanted to just like, just be a lot more intentional about what, I don't know, just meetings. And so we figured our member teams will definitely need to meet, but we might not necessarily need to have a workshop. And so that's what our Wednesday is going to look like. And then the actual voting day is going to be Thursday. So this is a all hands on deck event that the staff is going to be supporting, but definitely would love a lot of member involvement in this piece. And so I know the last time I spoke about I think I introduced the Citywide or said something about assemblies. A lot of folks were really excited about it. So I think this could be a really good place for folks to who are interested in putting in, I don't know, developing this process to jump into. Oh, and then sort of our last couple events, we're gonna have two really phenomenal artists. We're still in sort of conversation phase, but we're hoping that we'll have some space to for them to share some of their work with us. And that will be like a social event to some degree, and an experience to some degree. It might be a gallery, a virtual gallery. We're really excited, actually. We have no idea, but it's going to be, I think, different from the other events. And then a break on Saturday. Transnational organizing, I don't know, I forgot the frame here. Sierra, do you have any?
Yeah, so, you know, as we're coming to realize, the myth of American exceptionalism is in fact a myth. And so we wanted to have an organizing conversation with organizers from around the world, to invite them in, particularly people in the global South, to chat with us about their practices, methods, processes, and see what we can learn.
Great. Thank you so much, Sierra. And so that's gonna happen on Sunday. So we're at Sunday, February 21st. That'll be the first event. That'll be one of the events. In addition to that, we'll be having a community grieving event / memorial. There's just been a lot of death in the air, you know, with the pandemic. And we just really felt like we need to have some community grieving space centered by Black POC folks, that is, I think, reflective of this times. You know, when Sierra and I were talking, you know, we were sort of back to the AIDS crisis, and the quilt that was emerged from there, and you know, there's a history of ways in which experiences like this have been memorialized, and folks have helped people sort of move through grief. And so we're hoping to reimagine something like that on that day as well. And so if y'all interested, let us know. And then the last day is going to be our premiere event. You know, everyone loves our Black Trust. So we figured that this will be our closing event with an artist and a lecturer. Still, we have some big names that we're really excited about, but definitely y'all should watch out for this event. This is going to be, I think, a good closer. So yeah, and so I guess to tell y'all ways in which y'all can jump in and help us with this, we're going to be sending out an email next week with sort of like direct ways for you all to jump into different aspects of this work. And so if there's an area of this work, you're like, oh my God, I really want to support this. Like, keep that in mind. And so when we get that email, when we send out our announcement email next Tuesday, you can just easily just like indicate where you want to support. And so each of these key events are supported by staff members. And so we'll definitely sort of be able, who will be stewarding these events. And another key thing is that we're going to be having a planning a meeting every Monday at 4. Not that is the only way to sort of be involved in this space, but like that'll be a really primary space where we'll be moving this work along. And so, yeah. Team, did I miss anything? Anything else I should add?
I think you got it, James. That was great.
Cool. Any questions from y'all? Thoughts? Reactions?
All right. Jenny said excited, all caps in the chat.
Cool. Well, this is gonna be this is not the only place for you guys to sort of engage with this. We will be talking about this all the time for the next couple of weeks. So
Next 6 weeks.
Yes. yeah, we're just looking forward to seeing you guys support and show up. Yeah. Sierra, should we take it home?
Actually, Nia.
Oh yeah, yeah. I stay forgetting.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, just thank you, James. Just to add to that really quickly, just because I see Jessica's comment in the chat. Jessica said, great program layout. And so I do just want to say, if you are newer to the space, don't be shy. Definitely feel free to jump in. So I think our first answer a lot of times when people first come to join us, they're trying to figure out how to engage, how to plug in, and what we say is just jump in and just try stuff out. And so that can mean checking out a member team, and you could also look at one of these events or look at the whole week of events and decide maybe that's where you want to start. So I would just say definitely don't be shy and don't feel like you have to have been around for a while to contribute to this or to anything else. I'm also going to share my screen. So what I'd like to invite input from you on, I have some questions for you. Bye, John. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the rest of the week. Is our endorsement policy. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. And can everyone see this? Should I make it big? Okay, I see Sierra nodding. I'll zoom in. Oh, that was not a good zoom. Hold on.
If you want to hit present.
All right, where's present?
And the top.
I didn't really want to do that, but yeah, I probably should. All right, cool. Okay, so yes, I'd like to get some thoughts from you about our endorsement policy. So some quick context. Number one, we don't have one. And we are crafting it. So this is why we are having this conversation. This is why I'm seeking your input. We are fiscally sponsored by a 50c3. So one thing that we do know is we cannot endorse a politician. We can't endorse a candidate. We can't endorse a specific person. So just definitely just kind of want to get that out of the way. However, we do get quite a few people who will want us to support a position that they're taking, which we can do. They might want us to kind of endorse an event that they are having. They might want us to sign onto a statement, sign onto a letter. They might want us to endorse some type of legislation. So all of those we can do. And so that's number three. I've just talked about different categories. Also, the notice varies. A lot of times it's pretty short notice. So a lot of the times the request will be something like a text message that says, hey, can you sign on to this? We're trying to get it out by 3 p.m. today. Those I generally don't feel bad ignoring. Unless it's just something we just don't have to think about a lot, unless it's a no-brainer, it's clearly aligned with our work. It may be a position that we've already taken publicly. And most of them, quite honestly, you'll see here in the brackets, are generally pretty short notice, 24 to 48 hours. So that is kind of some of the difficulty around this. Why do we want to have an endorsement policy? I don't think I should be the only word on this. So a lot of times these requests do come to me, and I just put ED in parentheses, just because also just thinking about the life of Ujima. So just also thinking about just what leadership looks like beyond this moment. So I don't think that I or any other executive director should be the singular word on this. I also don't think it should be staff either, even though there are more voices there. And then finally, the primary reason why I don't think this is because we're a membership organization. And so to me, our team agrees, we've talked about this, a position that we take, we are indirectly, I think, claiming that same position on behalf of our members. And so we want to be thoughtful about that. That if Ujima is saying we support a particular action or process, something, that we are indirectly saying our members support that as well, even though we know that doesn't mean that support exists for every member to a person. Because our membership is broad, so of course, viewpoints and perspectives are going to vary. But broadly speaking, we do feel like we should be able to say, we think, broadly speaking, our membership would be in this certain place on a position. So that's the context. So some questions for you all. I see here 3 primary questions. So one, do you see a scenario or do you see situations when staff does decide? Why? And number 2 is, what are the scenarios or situations when members decide and why? And then finally, as I mentioned before, sometimes it's a time-bound initiative. So get the email, we're trying to get this out tomorrow, text message, we're trying to get this today. What then? But this is what we have come to so far. And then you'll see that then there are a whole bunch of other ideas that were thrown out that we would want you to consider and put to you for consideration. So one of the things that we've come to so far is we said, well, we have our co-direct space, which this is the space here that we've created to hear back from members and to get feedback. We think this would be a good space if it's timely to present the request to members and to say, hey, y'all, what do you think? So someone just asked us to sign onto this thing. What are your thoughts? Essentially get a temperature check, gauge perspectives and get a sense of some general consensus. We note that this co-direct is once a month. So again, when we kind of think about when these requests come, they're generally not there. It's generally not 4 weeks out or 3 weeks out. So using the co-direct as a space is not enough. So we know we need to do more than just consider the co-direct as a space where we present requests. The second thing that we arrived at was to actually house the requests that we're getting on our organized page. And so that's a place that people know that they can go to regularly to see what's under consideration for us. And this can account a little bit for that time in between co-direct, so that when we get it, so there's a Luke M that's entered the waiting room. I don't know who that person is, so I'm not going to admit them because that previous person was Mark B. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to leave them hanging out. That's the second thing that we came to, that we would then just really want to make sure members knew that area was there so that they could go to kind of check out what the requests are. And we would think of some mechanism for members to be able to provide feedback. And again, kind of use that as a temperature gauge and get some sense of general consensus. So that's under resolutions. That's as a team. That's what we've said. Like, yeah, we think these are good ideas, and we arrived there as a team and said, this is where we're going to start. And again, we think more has to be done. Finally, under consideration, these were the ideas that were thrown out in our conversation. We didn't affirm any of these as a team, but this is what was thrown out. So we said, hey, maybe the Community Standards Committee has a role in this. They're a representative body. They kind of do, but they take into account community standards. Maybe it also makes sense for them to be thinking about these requests that come in. We asked, should there be another representative body? No idea what that would look like, but that was something that came up. We asked, should there be some type of like dedicated communication channel, a WhatsApp or a specific email chain? We asked, should members vote? We think not. Voting is quite an endeavor, but that was something that came up. We asked, should we poll members? And just wanted to keep in mind that we generally have had low uptake on past polls, but that is something that's come up. We asked, should we do action alerts? We asked, Joyce, you said you like that one, action alerts?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know my mic was off.
We asked, and I'm almost done, then I'll open it up for responses. We asked, should we have someplace in the something in the member portal in Neon that people engage with to consider this? We asked, did we put something in the Wire? And we also said Wire's pretty crowded, though it's pretty full, so we don't know if the Wire can manage that. Then we said, well, what about the staff Wire? Do we think that's a good place for it? And then finally, we asked, do we think this is one of the things we use the volunteer module for in Neon, which is our CRM. So with that, I will now open up the floor. I'll just, as I open up the floor, I will just kind of visually go back to the first slide and then slowly take you through the next two, just so you can review as you get your thoughts together. I'm going to mute myself now and open.
I'll go first then. So I like the idea of like a representative body, if that's standards committee or not. I think it's like, it's tough to gauge like one-off endorsement policies, especially because the voting member body is like 600 people, and week to week you only get maybe 20 people show up to the Wednesday meetings, and I don't know about our communications channels, if that would be like more active, but you know, if you have like certain representatives and elected members think about what politics Ujima should be embodying, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, Louise, I'm thinking I like the action alerts too, because we might not endorse something, but we can give the information to our members. And the members that are interested can go as individuals, not as supporting Ujima. You could say you're a Ujima member, but Ujima is not supporting it. You know, for some things, but when we endorse stuff, we want more of that.
Nia, are you thinking that there has to be a quorum?
Joyce, thank you so much for that. I forgot to put that in there. Yeah, that was actually something Alex had raised. Yeah, like what would a quorum be for us to feel like we think this we feel comfortable that this is appropriately representative of what our membership thinks broadly.
And are you going to base that quorum on 600?
Right. Yeah. On that note, I mean, what does occur to me is that's easier to manage with another representative body, I think, as Alex pointed out, right?
Right.
To think of what a quorum would be with
You'd be waiting
body.
a long time for a quorum.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why we said voting, we don't think so.
Right. Yeah.
My hope was that during co-direct or with a representative body that is specifically geared toward this endorsement effort, that we would very easily, you know, if it's like a small sample of team of members, maybe like 20 members that represent all of the demographics of Ujima, that we would be able to ask them to vote on it. I'm all about representative bodies. I don't know.
But the thing that's nice about action alerts too, though, is even if you have a body, you can still send it out to the members to let them know that this is being talked about and discussed with the representatives, right?
Yeah, and what I should say is for sure there are quite a few of these we can do. So we know for sure we're doing the co-direct, we're gonna have them on the organized page, which I think also does well what you and Louise are talking about with the action alerts, which is even if Ujima doesn't take a position, we've made the information available to members, so a member could, do what they will with that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we could do representative body as well. We could do action alerts as well. We're not limited for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if I really like what Sierra was saying about maybe having some people that are kind of like, maybe it's representatives from different member teams or something. But if there's just like an opportunity for people to maybe share information, even if it's just with the staff, and that could be shared more broadly if needed. But if there are any just sort of like what we do with the assembly, if there's any flags or any sort of other things that maybe people don't publicly know about something, to be able to share with staff. And I'm also interested in like the outtakes. Like who has, but that's also like, because I think that's interesting as well, like, but I don't know how that's done in a way that isn't messy. So
when you say outtakes, can you just describe that a little bit more, like the things that we don't accept?
Yeah, like if somebody had reached out and you were like, no, or people that are sort of like on the line, right? And then and it's a no, or maybe people might have a general understanding of who they think or what they think an organization is or something, and they actually have like other ideals that don't match Ujima ideals or something like that. I think especially too with like the advocacy group, with or the anchor institution group, sorry, rather, with what anchor institutions or institutions would the anchor team be interested in. I think it's kind of like plays with that a little bit as well.
Thank you, Claudia. Are there any other thoughts?
Also, I mean, we're all members of Ujima for a reason, and that's because we trust in Ujima. So I think when it comes down to time-bound initiatives, I would hope that we are in alignment, or I would think that we would be. I would trust in the decisions that are made.
Thank you, Claudia. I saw Joseph Eubanks' hand is raised.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you, Joe.
Yes. Well, since Ujima is a 501c3, I think in some instances, if we wanted to endorse or support a particular stance, I think we have to get was it a C4? It's a certain another arm you have to create. So I mean, you almost have to be very careful about whom you may endorse or people might think you endorse. But if you have, I think it's a C4, and you can endorse, you can make phone calls. So it's just a whole separate, it's a whole separate organization, a whole separate filing. So I mean, I don't know if we could consider that, but the C3 is like, it's like a church. I mean, 501c3 is like almost like a church. You got to be very careful endorsing people.
Yeah, no, thank you, Joe. So we definitely, we know we can't endorse people, but we can kind of advocate for legislation. So this conversation is definitely about it's within the parameters of what we know we can do. And for sure we know what we can't do, though. You're right, Joe. We would need a C4 for that. Is people, candidates, politicians, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll say I've been involved with that, some of that stuff in ACE. the politics, you have to get a seal before. But what we can do, like if we went lobbying, the staff members might educate us, but the members would have to go before the senators and do the lobbying, and not the staff members. The staff members could only do so much lobbying. It's the time is Senate. So they have the members do most of it. You know, that's the whole, like when we went to Washington, the staff is limited to how much time they can spend lobbying. So you kind of, but even with the CO4, the staff is somewhat limited to that. And of course, a CO4, you can, then you can endorse politicians. But.
Yeah, and you can lobby in State House or Washington, D.C., you know, if you want to go to Washington, D.C., to, you know, at the right time. But the C4, you can do a lot more. I mean, and you don't have to worry about someone jumping all over you because you're, you know.
Yep. Thank you, Joe. And then just want to do a quick time check, 7:18, and I see that Lars has his hand up. So Lars, let's give you the last word on this one.
Okay, well, thanks. I wanted to speak a little bit, maybe more from the, good evening, everybody. Sorry, I got here late.
It's a little staticky, Lars.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I got here late. Wanted to speak perhaps from like the allied member as well perspective, and say that one of the things that I value about endorsement, particularly when it's on short term, is that there might be a transparent list of criteria that an endorsement implies. Right? So, for example, B Corporation is kind of like a certification, kind of like an endorsement, and it means that certain community standards have been met. And I would be very supportive of a signaling mechanism for those of us who are allies and are living the same experience. We don't know the same context that many in Ujima would know, but we'd like to be supportive.
Cool. Thank you, Lars. I really appreciate that point. Thank you so much. And I will turn it over to Sierra. And thank you all. This was and I'll stop sharing my screen. This is a great conversation. So I appreciate all of the feedback. I appreciate insight, and I appreciate your questions.
Well, thank you all for joining us. We can end the screen record now. So we're all going to say goodbye to the people on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.